Okay, so let's come back to the next topic, which is particle in a box. This is probably the most famous and the first problem that you solve in quantum mechanics as a boundary value problem. But it has various other aspect also. Maybe we'll discuss in the tutorial session. But in this particular lecture, I will be mostly focusing on the solution part of it. The symmetry part of it, maybe we'll discuss in tutorial. So let's try to remember what was happening for a free particle. So for a free particle, so we know the free particle was, oops, let us just, yeah. So the free particle was basically Vx, the potential was 0. And the particle, if you just think of it is your x-axis, so it can be anywhere, and the wave function's amplitude does not decay, it just goes in everywhere. It is and this is why you have to go for the box normalization. But the scenario for a particle in a box is a little different. So what is happening is that there is a box like this, and the potential is 0 from here to here is 0, and the potential is infinity here. So potential infinity means basically the wave function cannot, I mean the only solution if you want to have with an infinite potential is the wave function should vanish, then it makes sense. So that means the particle cannot escape this box. Remember, we are going back and forth the particle and the wave function, because quantum mechanics, even from de Broglie and whatever Young's double slit experiment, what we know is that every particle has a wave function. So when I call psi and particle in quantum mechanics codes or in modern physics code, they are basically equivalent. So this particle is basically trapped in this box, and the wave function when it says here, that means particle cannot be here and here, even in quantum mechanics also, because this potential is infinite. If the potential is finite, we'll discuss this later, and maybe in quantum mechanics course also. If you are curious, you can learn. So these boundaries are at x equal to 0 and x equal to L. These are boundaries. If you make this x equal to minus L over 2 and plus L over 2 and make the axis x equal to 0 here, then this potential will be symmetric around x equal to 0, but currently it is symmetric around x equal to L by 2. So maybe at some point we'll discuss the symmetries of the potential, then I'll talk about this again. But this is symmetric under x equal to L by 2, and if you change the axis, then only it's symmetric under x equal to 0. So how do you solve this? Now this potential, if you try to write down mathematically, so Vx equal to 0 between the 0 to L region, and the potential is infinite if it is greater than equal to 0 or less than equal to 0. So you have two parts of Schrodinger equation. One is, so let's call this as region 1, and then this call this region 2, and this is region 3. I mean, when I was a student, I used to solve this boundary value problem, and before that, mechanically I used to choose the region 1, region 2, region 3, and every region I have to use this property that the wave function is continuous. So here it will go to 0, that's a different story, but if it's finite, it will not go to 0, but the value should match and derivative also should match. So this is how I mean we used to, so basically you solve region 1, you solve region 2, and then solve region 3, and then you match. This is how you solve boundary value problem. It is just a PDE problem, partial differential equation or differential, nothing else. So let's come here. So the first equation, so let me just write it down. This is for region x less than L and less than 0. This is the region, and this the second is basically the outside, region 2 and region 3. So this is region 1, this is region 2, and sorry, this is region 3 and this is region 2. So in the region 2 and 3 you have the potential, right? So you have so H psi equal to E psi. So let us write it down here somewhere, maybe here. So when you put H psi equal to E psi, this is the mother equation, Schrodinger equation. Now H would be, will have the kinetic part also. So kinetic part, you know, this is the H cos square twice m divided by twice m, then d2x dx square, and then you put the psi here. This is the T, the kinetic term. And then the second term, H will also have the potential term, Vx psi, it will be E psi. Now for the region 1, this Vx equals to 0. So there is only kinetic part. But for region 2, this is written as k square, because if you just multiply by twice m and then so anyway, so this is for where the potential is non-zero, but the non-zero case is not described here. Basically non-zero case is infinity and the wave function vanishes. So we are not solving for region 2 and region 3, because for region 2 and 3, let me write it down, the wave function is 0. Here also wave function is 0. So we don't need to solve. But when you deal with finite potential, you have to also solve for that one. And in that case, your k will be different. Now, because v is equal to 0, your k becomes this one. K square equals to twice me over h square. This is the k. This is the k. But when you have the potential, this k would be replaced by, so generic k square would be twice m e minus v, I guess, yeah. Just check the sign if I think it is correct. This would be most generic one. So now this again it looks like a wave equation, right? This you have solved in high school, this particular equation. This is just a wave equation. And any wave equation, we know the oscillator solutions will be there. So this is the high school stuff, and the oscillator solution can be linear combination of sin x and cos x. You can also use exponential if you wish. So exponential kx, and so one can also write like a prime exponential ikx b prime exponential minus ikx is basically the same thing. So you can recast, redefine, and we get the sin x and cos x. This is trivial. So now you got the solution. You know this is my solution. The only thing I don't know is basically these amplitudes a and b and the wave number k. And how do you determine this thing? This is a second order differential equation. So we need two boundary conditions to solve it. And we know already the boundary condition. The wave function must vanish also in the boundary. So not only in the region 1 and region 2 and region 3, but also in the boundary, because this equal to sign is inside the region 2 and region 3. So the wave function should vanish. So if you put the first condition, x equal to 0, psi equal to 0. So that means, you know, sine 0 would be 0. So it would be only, and cos 0 is 1. So it should be b equal to 0. So straight away the second amplitude goes to 0. There is no way, I mean, it will survive. But if you put the condition like x equal to L, psi also should be equal to 0. So already b equal to 0, so wave function become a sine kx. And now if you put x equal to L, then it becomes this. So a sine k L equals to 0. So then there are choices. So either a equals to 0, if a already b equals to 0, if a equals to 0, then the particle is not there in the box because the wave function vanishes. So that is not acceptable. So that is not practical solution. So this is a trivial solution, basically trivial solution. So it is not a practical one. The other possibility is or sine kl equals to 0. If sine kl equals to 0, then you know from trigonometry, right, kl would be integer multiples of pi. So it should be n pi, where n can go from 0, 1, 2, blah blah blah. So now you see not all values of k's are allowed, and this is a very important lesson in quantum mechanics, because I don't know if you have done angular momentum or some linear momentum analysis in high school, and those are basically continuous variable. In classical mechanics, if you have done symmetries and conservation law, you know that this we have basically, if you consider time translation symmetry, then energy is conserved, and then there are three space degrees of freedom, x, y, and z, if you just convert them in Cartesian coordinate. So their symmetries gives you the linear momentum conservation, and then you have the rotations and then corresponding angular momentum conservation. So but those values, those because x is continuous, then the linear momentum is also continuous. But what happened in a bound state, which is mostly the quantum mechanical bound state system, these momentums are discrete, and this is the one of the, I mean, first result, that is n pi over L. So k, because you know p is basically h cross k, so you can just determine that basically it is these are discrete, these are not continuous. So if you put back the normalization as well as the k, then you and then you normalize, right? Normalization condition is like psi star psi dx equals to 1. It should be in principle going from minus infinity to plus infinity, but you know wave function is 0 otherwise, so you just integrate in the region that is desired and you get this boundary condition. You get sine square, and because of that sine square you get 2, because yeah, it's very easy to do algebra, you can do it. So this is the wave function, and then n is basically n, if n is 0, the wave function vanishes, and then so n should be from 1, because non-trivial solution 1 2 3. And if you recast, because you remember the potential energy inside the box is 0, so the total energy is thus the kinetic energy. So total energy would be p square over twice m, and p is from here, p becomes n pi h cross over L. So if you put this value, then you get this particular thing. So you see now that E, which is the energy, is proportional to n square, but n is not continuous. N is like 1 2 3, all the integers, but it seems like it's like a parabola, right? So let's look at graphically the solution and try to understand what it tells. Let's look at it. So the first solution, let's look at the wave function first. So the first wave function, let me go there. If you remember the normalization, so it's quite well n pi L. Let's see, let's write it here. So psi okay, I don't know why it is changing. Something is wrong now. Okay, so if you want to solve it for the first state that is allowed, which is psi 1, is this one, sine pi x over L. Now try to see where it is going to 0. X equal to 0, it will go to 0. So here x equal to 0. X equal to L, it would be sine pi, again it would be 0. This is x equal to L. So at these 2 points it will be 0. And then at x equal to L over 2, it is sine pi over 2, and that is the maxima. So this is the maxima. And you can see this is kind of a, I mean, I mean there, I mean you can just calculate all the other values here, and you see this is symmetric or like even function. I mean I'll probably discuss in some lecture in detail when I go to another potential, but you can see this is symmetric under, I mean around x equal to L over 2, that means the even function around this one. And if you go to the next one, which is let's say psi 2, then it becomes like sine 2 pi x over L. This is just like acoustic solution that you have done in high school. So at x equal to 0 again is 0, x equal to L again is 0 because it's 2 pi and 0. But now you have x equal to L by 2 here. If you put L by 2, then it's again sine pi again is 0. So if you put x equal to L over L pi over 4, so L over 4, and and then 3L over 4, then you get a positive value and the negative value. So now you see it is like it is having one more turn here, and this is odd under this around this point x equal to L over 2, and the next one would be again even, and the next one would be odd, and the turnings will increase. So remember, when the turning is increasing, that means del x of the psi is also increasing. So this is why the more higher state you go, it will have more and more kinetic energy, and this is why it will have more and more total energy, because the potential was initially 0 for this region. So the only energy that can have, it can only populate from kinetic energy, and kinetic energy in quantum mechanics depends on the gradient. The more turns you have, you are adding more gradients basically. So this is a generic picture. Let's say if you have a wave function with lots of turns, that means it will give more and more kinetic energy or more and more total energy. And so this is one of the property, the kinetic energy increases as you go up. Another property is, this is like first is even, then is odd, then is even, then is odd. And this happens because this potential has symmetry around parity symmetry around x equal to L by 2, and which I'll discuss later separately when I talk about the symmetries of the potential. Now let's try to look at the probability, because these you cannot measure, but probability density you can measure. So if you just multiply 2 sine, it will become sine squared, and so it will never go negative. So probability density cannot be negative. So you can see everything are actually positive, and all these are even function. So mod psi square is an even function, and it's always positive definite. So this is another good information, and you can, so when you try to evaluate the expectation value, if you want to measure, let's say, the momentum, then basically you have to multiply the momentum with this value and then integrate. So locally multiply and then yes. So I mean any operator you deal with, of course, when you put psi star psi, then the operator has to act, and then you multiply. So it is not exactly multiply, but for position coordinate it is exactly you multiply. And so this is about the probability density plot. And let's look at the energy. So remember, energy was okay, let's forget the full expression. It was proportional to n square. So it looks like a parabola, and it is a parabola. But remember, n is not a continuous number, n are discrete, 1, 2, 3. So if the first energy is here, the second energy would be 2 square. That means that 4, these two, I mean it will be every 4 times, and then third one 9, and the fourth one 16. It will go like that. And so your first wave function, the ground state one will lie here, second one will lie here, and third. This is how things will be populated. So let's imagine, just guess that if hydrogen atom is simple one-dimensional infinite potential, which is not, so then you should expect this kind of nature, basically 1 over n square nature. When actually Bohr atomic model was discovered, I mean it was not proven from Schrodinger equation solution, but the assumption was like that actually, and there are discrete energy level and 1 over n square nature and all that. So that when we solve hydrogen atom, we actually find out those nature. But in the case of 1D potential, well, you see you get a parabolic nature of the potential, and those parabola, these values actually that take it are discrete values. Yeah, so I mean, so far it is, and there I have given one exercise, and I request all of you to please do it. And the reason, because so another thing is that one more thing, that energy is inversely proportional to L square. So if the box is very long, your energy value will be small, and you can have a comparative study that how the separation between two energy levels will be. The exercise is that something went wrong actually. Okay, I'll edit this. So I think I think it got deleted. I think I wrote it, maybe it wrongly updated. So there was a wave function. I'll rewrite this. So there was a wave function given, which is a linear combination of three wave function. Then I asked write down the, so it was given at t is equal to 0, and I asked to calculate the time evolution and plot them using Mathematica GNU plotter, any plotter that you are comfortable. And then you calculate the average energy of the system. This was the exercise, and please do it. This requires some plotter, and these days you know programming and everything from school, and this does not need programming, just plotter, any plotter you can use. And the next lecture, I mean, I'll stop here, and I'll record this lecture separately, the photoelectric effect. And I just want to mention few things before I encounter photoelectric effect. If you remember Young's double slit experiment, which tells you that that corpuscular theory of Newton of light wave actually had a wave pattern, and the same theory, I mean same phenomena was observed for electron double slit experiment also. So that means the particle has a wave nature. So that was basically a big discovery, because then de Broglie's hypothesis came, uncertainty principle came, and then you can write down Schrodinger equation for every particle. Now photoelectric effect, which was actually explained by Einstein, has a different take on things. So initially, if you remember, in the high school books, it is written that intensity, which is represented by I, is basically amplitude square. This was the assumption, and this is a wave nature. And when you do the calculation in the electric circuit also, the Kirchhoff law and other things we did, when we calculate impedance and other things, we always focus on the amplitude, because we are thinking that intensity is always determined by the amplitude. But this experiment of the photoelectric current or photoelectric effect proves this wave description of the current or is basically wrong. So there were some observation which we'll discuss a little later, I mean maybe the next lecture tomorrow, that there are some phenomena which cannot be explained purely by this assumption that intensity is basically mod square of the amplitude. You need some particular, not only particle, rather than I can say the package description. Like Shantanu will teach the black body radiation, and then Planck's explanation will come. So probably you'll understand more. But so ideally the photoelectric effect should the black body radiation should be taught before then photoelectric effect. But yeah, you can correlate it. So some phenomena was observed, and then I'll go through very naively here in this. So this is the saturation current, and this current people were thinking that it is proportional to intensity of the light, and intensity was proportional to the amplitude square. But if that is the case, then if you put the same intensity of the light, then you should everything should follow to the same 0 point, but it did not. So the particle description of current, that is the electron, was needed, and electrons coming out of the metal which causes the current their energies are also discrete, and it depends on which frequency light you are actually putting here in the experiment. So I'll go into details. If you are not understanding, it's perfectly fine. I'll discuss this in the next lecture. So just to tell you the thing that photoelectric effect tells you that the wave description is also not enough. So Young's double slit experiment said the particle description is not enough. You need wave description for particle. And photoelectric ray says no, you need particle description because wave description is not enough. So we are in a juncture where both the descriptions are necessary, and the particle description you can think of is like a discrete energy level or some sort of discrete state that we saw. Any bound state have that kind of feature. So anyway, let me stop here, and then I'll discuss the photoelectric effect in the next lecture. And what we'll do, so this is basically after photoelectric, this is like 1 week full lecture. I'll give you the full PDF, as well as I think I'll also give you the rough that I was doing, the blackboard and the whiteboard thing. I'll also put the PDF. I'll share a folder, and the folder you can get the PDF copy, and as well as the rough assignments that I'll discuss, that will be there. The video lectures are shared in YouTube, so you can go to the lower quality and listen to the audio, and you can download those PDF file, and you can also read through them. All the exercises are given here. If I get time, then please I'll send you separately. Otherwise, you just start solving this. I think I have written exercise in all the sections. There's very small problem, and please do it and submit into the TA. So, and do not send the email to me directly. I think TA assignments are done by Shantanu. I'll ask him to send which roll number to which TA, because if 430 students send mail to me, then I think my mailbox will be full. So I'll send an email to Shantanu such that let's say first 20 students have one TA number 1, so they will send it to TA number 1. Okay, so fine, and I think it will start from next Friday onwards. You have to submit. Okay, so